Prepare yourself to work 12 to 16 hour days, 6 days a week for the next 5 to 20 years, depending on how big you want to get. I mean, Elon Musk, I think he did it for 30 years, you know. If you want a Tesla-sized business and that impact in the world, you're giving your life. You're giving your life over. That's just how it is. So throw the idea of balance out the window. It doesn't exist.
Welcome, Haydn. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you on here.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Rosh.
Awesome. So as we start off every podcast episode, it comes with this one question that we love to say. What does it look like to you to soar high?
To soar high. That would be fulfilling your human potential.
Fulfilling your human potential. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you elaborate a little bit on that a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Well, human beings come out of nothing. You just suddenly exist and you're full of all of this possibility when you're born. Anything is possible for you. And you have the ability to develop skills. You've developed language, the ability to walk, the ability to learn, everything you got in school, all those soft and hard skills that you have. How far can you take them? Really, what is the limit for your possibility and your potential? And I think maybe it's even the pursuit of that, the pursuit of that question, what if I really gave my life to it, what could I achieve? That would be soaring high. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's really
love
amazing.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. And this podcast is all about like how we can lead with love and how powerful it is leading with love.
Nice.
So what would you define as like leadership? And then what would you define as love? And how would you define those two terms?
Great questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love love. Love is one of my favorite things. And did you two fall in love by any chance?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And,
Yeah.
And do you remember that moment? Do you remember that moment you fell in love?
Yeah, I do.
I'll let Rosh. I'll let Rosh elaborate.
I
on
won't
it.
get you to describe it.
Yeah. You can say it if you want.
Just have a look.
Yeah.
Have a look at that moment. Right in that moment, what was there? Was there anything else but the two of you together?
No, I was just totally present.
Yeah, totally present with that other human being. And now, Varan, I know you're a great man. You still had all of your imperfections and all of your flaws and all of your weaknesses with you in that moment.
Yeah.
But none of that mattered. Rosh was just totally into you, even with all that stuff. And that is love. Is that absolute acceptance of that other person. They are perfect in their imperfections. That is what love is.
Beautiful. They are perfect in their imperfections. I think that's going to be the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's really powerful.
That's beautiful. Oops, my mic just came off.
No,
that's amazing.
And then we're talking about leadership, weren't we, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is leadership?
Yeah.
That's great. I would say leadership is almost being the ultimate follower. I'm the follower of many people. I'm following their desires, their needs, their wants, and bringing them into reality with them. And in turn, because the followers of that leader see that leader's following them, they follow. It's so reciprocal, isn't it? Does that make any sense, or did I just confuse you?
No, that made total sense to me.
So just elaborate a little bit on the following bit as well. Like, what do you mean by following? Yeah.
Yeah. So a leader will look at their people and say, what do they need? What do they want? And how can I provide that? So they're standing with their people.
Okay.
And they're willing to be the driver, the risk taker, so their people can have everything they want and need. Yeah, they're dedicating their life to the service of others.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it, Haydn.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think
my
it's
pleasure.
important to have that, like you said, like not prioritizing yourself, but what can we do for the people that we're serving as a leader, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what you're trying to maybe articulate, is that selflessness of being a leader as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like, what inspired you to adopt a leading with love leadership style?
Oh, thanks. Thank you for asking. when I was growing up, I felt so lost. I felt, I felt unworthy. I felt I could never get anything right. I felt I upset people all the time. And I was looking for guidance. I was looking for reassurance, and I was looking for love and to be loved. And it was in my pursuit of finding these things, I actually developed the ability myself, the ability to love and reassure people and guide people. Reading all the books, talking to all the successful people, I started to absorb who they were being and what they were doing, how to act, the character traits. And over time, I noticed that the people around me started to do extremely well because I was able to pass to them everything I was learning. And when I saw them doing really well, that made me feel really good. It was deeply fulfilling to see others succeed and know I was a part of that, and know that they can depend on me and I'll be there for them, whatever they're facing, and we will overcome it together. Deeply, deeply fulfilling. And so it was, funnily enough, it was the struggles I went through that caused me to look for leadership and guidance and love. And in the process of that, I became the person I was looking for.
Oh, amazing.
And now I'm able to be that person for others. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, Hayden. And I think the bit that's coming out again is just service of others. And going on to that, like in a team dynamic, it's really hard to balance the results that are required of the workplace or the business with the kind of emotional well-being of each team member. So how does a leader effectively do that? And what tools or distinctions or techniques can we use to balance the emotional well-being of a team member and the productivity and the performance of a team? Yeah.
Got it. I think, firstly, throw the idea of balance completely out the window.
Okay.
To be successful in the business realm, in entrepreneurship, balance doesn't exist. Prepare yourself to work 12 to 16 hour days, 6 days a week for the next 5 to 20 years, depending on how big you want to get. I mean, Elon Musk, I think he did it for 30 years, if you want a Tesla-sized business and that impact in the world, you're giving your life. You're giving your life over. That's just how it is. So throw the idea of balance out the window. It doesn't exist. Now, look to be effective in every area of life. Look to be effective with your family, with your health, with your finances. You can have effectiveness in every area of your life. Okay, so aim at effectiveness, not balance. Balance sounds beautiful, but yeah, don't aim for that in the entrepreneurial world at all. Okay, so then how do you deliver to your team and get productivity and results while dealing with human emotion? You must deal with human emotion to be effective. You will not grow a dynamic, dedicated, committed team if you don't. And I think Stephen Covey said, people won't care until they know you care. And when your team, when they feel that love and they know you, they know you see them as perfect and you're there for them to win. Yeah, they're in. They're going to play. They're going to be on your side. They're going to come to you with their problems and you're going to be able to contribute to them and overcome them. If an employee has got issues with his partner at home, he's going to bring that to work. He really is. And if you've got a workspace where he's not allowed to express that, that's going to be there with him all day. If he can come in, have a rant, get it off his mind, he will be invested in the work that day.
Yeah.
So don't think as a leader, you must invest the time in your people, whatever it takes. And that's where you get people who are going to do that back. They're going to invest the time, whatever it takes. And I know that there are leaders out there who've been burnt and hurt, and people have lied and cheated and stole from them. And yes, you got to get back up and do it again and keep looking for those people who will reciprocate. Keep getting up, regardless of what happens. Get back on the horse and invest the time in your people. Now, it's not, what you don't want to do is try and do it with everybody. You got to, as a leader, you pick your key leaders and they pick their key leaders, and so on and so forth. And that's how it trickles down a hierarchy. Yeah. Find your leaders to lead their leaders, so on and so forth. And you put the majority of your time in those people. Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
For sure.
80% of your time
I get
in your
it.
key leaders, developing them. Yeah. And the beauty is, as your leaders grow, they start to take your role and responsibility, which then creates room and space for you to reach your next level.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, as they develop, they move up the chain, and you then can move up again.
Yeah.
So it's like you're pulling everyone up with you,
Growing
Yeah.
together. Mm.
growing together. Definitely.
Yeah, I love it,
It
Aiden.
is an investment. Yeah.
It is.
And it's like, I watched this YouTube video on it. It's like imagining boats on a harbor, and like every time the tide raises, all the boats rise together, and it's not like competing with each other. It's just
Yeah.
that uniformed level of success among the whole team, and like the kind of abundance of it all having an effect on the whole team rather than just single individuals, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of mean? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll give you a real world example of this, just so we
That's
can
great.
lock it in.
That's my next question as well. Like, can you
Yeah.
give a specific example of time when you led with love and there was a challenging situation and you overturned it, and something that was so bad and horrible, but you overturned it into a positive aspect of your whole team because you led with love?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, what happens when, first I'll start with what happens when I don't lead with love.
Okay.
And when I'm not coming from love, when I'm coming from anger or upset, I'm critical, I'm judgmental. I tell people what they're doing wrong and how they need to be better. And it's just this unleashing of emotion on another. And they don't need that. And they don't want that. Everyone's got their own stuff going on in their world, especially if they're an entrepreneur. There is so much going on as an entrepreneur. And if I come along and I'm just dumping my stuff on them, they're out, they're gone. See you later. And this has happened to me a couple of times as a coach. I have dumped on my clients, or I haven't been loving with my clients. And they don't come back. They're there running a business, running a team, dealing with their own family. They don't need Haydn's jump. See you later, Haydn. The other times when I am coming from love and I see my client is absolutely perfect in their imperfections, they can have everything they want, everything is possible for them. And I push what they know is possible for themselves. And I question them on things like their integrity. Are they keeping their word to themselves? I question them on, what are their principles and values, and are they acting in accordance to them? And people will take the easy route. They'll be like, oh, look, 50 grand, let's grab it. I was like, okay, but is that 50 grand in line with your principles and values and the word that you've given to who you're going to be? And it's like, no. And they can get really upset with me in that moment. But when they feel that love, like, hey, I'm doing this for you. This is your future you're building and your integrity that's at stake here. They stay in that conversation and they will get to the point where they can see a path forward that is aligned to their principles and values and have everything they want. It is the high road, as we like to say, and it is the most rewarding road. So I'd say when I'm coming from love, I can have any conversation with any person. And we can work all the way through it, all the way through.
Beautiful.
There is nothing we cannot overcome within a conversation when love is the space it's held in.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it.
Wow, that's really
Thank you.
amazing. Mm.
And
Does that answer the
going on?
question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And it's a natural progression. Again, to the next question is,
Okay, great.
how can we create that empathy and active listening as a core leadership
Oof.
skill and train
Good
ourselves
question.
to build that muscle?
Yeah, beautiful question.
Mm.
This may be the part that many people don't like. You must do the work on yourself. If there are parts of you you're not happy with, that upset you, frustrate you, you won't be able to love another human being.
Mm.
You
Wow.
must do the work on yourself and deal with whatever's in your past that's incomplete, your relationship with your parents, which people don't like dealing with, you know, your relationships with your siblings,
For sure.
you must deal with how you became who you are and whatever's in there you don't like about yourself. When I had it that I'm not worthy, which is what I developed in my childhood, I consistently was trying to prove myself, consistently. And no matter how hard I tried, because underneath it was I'm not worthy, it was never enough. And this made it very difficult for me to connect with people because I wasn't being this space of just calm and relaxation, and I was being, I need to prove myself. I need to prove myself. And it was until I dealt with that part of myself, I was really able to just allow others to be and allow myself to be in all of my imperfections, which there are many. Actually, I was looking at the mirror just before and I noticed it's like, why is it when I look at the mirror, I see all the things I don't like? Yeah. So there's another part of myself to deal with right then, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Deal with that
Yeah.
because that's going to come up for me when I'm dealing with people.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna be-
really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm taking it all in. This is really great. I mean, yeah, in terms of the self-development, yeah, we totally see that. We totally get that. Viren and I, we're always at work and doing the work on ourselves, and we definitely help each other. We keep
Nice.
each other accountable. Viren definitely keeps me accountable on many things that I would say, and my integrity.
You must love that.
Yeah. I love it long term.
Yes, you love the
Yeah.
results.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely.
Yeah, beautiful. Well done.
Yeah.
There are a few human beings, such as Elon Musk, Albert Einstein, Gandhi, and they just turn out exceptional. Now, I'm sure they do plenty of personal development that we don't hear about, but they're born in a circumstance with the right genetics, the right family that leads them down a path to that epic level of success. For the rest of us normal human beings, we need to do the work on ourselves. And what many people forget or sometimes get caught up in is they think they are the way they are, and that's just not true. It's a beautiful gift we have as human beings is create ourselves. We can undo many of the ways we've become and then design new ways to be effective. Now, for example, I've heard recently, people thought I'm a goody two-shoes, and I haven't lived a life. I've been a junkie. I've been an alcoholic. My career background is pubs, climbing trees, trades, a little bit of entertainment, for adults, all of this. And I've learned that I can redesign myself for whatever the situation and whatever I'm up to in my life. And so can everyone else. We are extremely powerful and adaptive creatures. As I was saying earlier, we're born out of nothing. All of a sudden we have this intelligence and this ability. We don't know how to walk. We're covered in snot. We can't speak. And look at all this stuff we developed, and we don't appreciate just how powerful we really are. One of the most intelligent things in the universe. We get so, we get so accepting, like I'm just an average person. So no, you're one of the most powerful thing in the universe. Your ability to to have an idea and then bring it into existence. It's just mind-blowing. That chair you're sitting on, that didn't exist at some point in history. And a human being just, had a thought and boom, now we have a chair in existence. And humans can do that with themselves. They can have an idea of who they're going to be in the future, and they can design and create themselves. So powerful. And we totally underappreciate ourselves and this gift that we have. So please, my request to the audience is develop yourself, and anything is possible for you. You can have everything in your life work. I promise you.
That's amazing.
That's really great, Haydn. And like, there's this book I read 2 or 3 months ago. It's called Personality Isn't Permanent. And I think we're so fixated on creating our personality, what personality type we are, what house in Harry Potter do we fit in? Like,
are we introverts?
Are we introverts, extroverts?
Yeah.
But really, like, we can be this malleable personality that adapts for different situations and different scenarios.
Yeah.
And as long as we work on ourselves and our own self-improvement, we don't necessarily have to fit in that extrovert bucket or that introvert bucket. And we can be different in different scenarios and work on ourselves. And I really love what you're saying there. Like, you can create anything for your life. Anything is possible, but you have to work on yourself first and foremost, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everything in your life is a reflection of who you're being. People don't like that. Everything. Your relationships, your bank account, your career is a reflection of who you're being. And underneath your being is simply that internal conversation that you have with yourself. And you can change that. It's not permanent.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Our reality, or the so-called reality in front of us, that is all by our creation.
100% it is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then
now, some people get thrown into horrible realities. I don't want to discredit anyone who has been thrown into some things that are outside our control, okay?
Of course.
Don't want to discredit those people who are in those tough situations. For the most of us, we can create our entire life. Who we are, what we do, and the results we get.
And it's almost like, even when something's, and for sure we cannot control, 90% or more of what happens around us. But what it comes down to is how we're responding to that external thing. How do we choose to perceive it, and what do we make it mean, and what's our next step, our next action, depending on what's just happened to us or for us. Cool.
The obstacle is the way. I love that book as well by Ryan Holiday. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like what stands in the way becomes the way. And the impediment to action advances action.
Quoting Marcus Aurelius now.
Then Haydn, like, we've spoken a lot about prioritizing emotional connection and being vulnerable as a leader. And what advice would you give to leaders that are hesitant to show that part of them, that side of it? And I would say, like, maybe in the entrepreneurial environment, we are a little bit open-minded about these concepts. But say in like a corporate environment, maybe the emotional vulnerability isn't there, or traditional business settings. And do you think, again, like, those companies are going to be left behind because they're not showing that emotional connection, that vulnerability? And what advice would you give to people that are reluctant to show that?
Got it.
Yeah.
Ooh, the corporate is a whole different world.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say the same principles apply for effectiveness. In the corporate world, there's a team of leaders who are required to be on board. If there is that human element is missing in any business, it's going to come crumbling down at some point. If it just becomes a bureaucracy and people become numbers, it isn't going to last. And I think we've seen this countless times around the world. You see the management yelling at the workers, and the workers, they start taking strikes, and the solution seems to always be when they connect and communicate and be authentic with one another and truly listen to one another. Then when that love comes back, anything's possible.
Beautiful, yeah.
I wish I could bring some examples to mind of where that has been a success. Yeah.
That's okay. And then like, what are some common misconceptions about leading with love, and how would you address them?
Yeah, great. People see it as a weakness. Loving and being vulnerable is a weakness. And what I ask of that is, well, what's harder, to be vulnerable, or to pretend to not have any fears and emotions and doubts? I'd say it's much harder to express ourselves authentically, what we're really dealing with, than it is the opposite. I think it takes actually a huge strength to be a vulnerable leader. And people often confuse that vulnerability with being a pushover. And I'd say, no, not at all. Not at all. And look at the greatest leaders who we remember for decades and centuries. If you look at your Martin Luther King, he stood up in front of a million people and just poured his heart out to the world. And if you look at a Gandhi, he probably the most powerful man in history. His love for his people is what, one, gave him the strength to get up and do it day after day after day. And two, his love was that large that hundreds of millions of people were willing to follow him and take risks. And he was completely expressive about what he was dealing with and the troubles of his people and what he thought and his opinions. So yes, people often think it's a weakness to be that vulnerable. And I argue that it is the greatest strength. And it is it's not a nicety, it's a necessity to great leadership. Any of the great leaders through history came from love. Look at Einstein, his love of physics. You look at Abraham Lincoln, it was his love of what was right, what was just human decency and morals. Love for humans. He was willing to go to war with his brothers to stand up for the rights of human beings. And that was love. He loved people. So it is challenging and risky to put yourself out there that way. And I think what stops people is they get hurt and then they're scared to get hurt again. They have their heart broken. They have someone lie or cheat or steal, like we said, and then they just like, no, never doing that again. It takes something to get up and put yourself in that vulnerable position, put yourself at risk, express yourself openly, and be prepared for others to beat you down. That really takes something. But it is a necessity, not a nicety, to great leadership.
Especially, I think, in today's age of being online and where you take your vulnerability online. I'm learning to share more of my own story online. And so, I think we often remind ourselves, hey, be ready for the haters, be ready for, people writing those negative comments, because they will come. So let's just expect it and let's just give them love back, and that's it.
I like being a man as well, and being scared to show vulnerability as well. I want to touch on that. Like, how can men? I try to rephrase this in an appropriate way. Like, I think maybe
careful, man. Careful. Delicate territory now.
I think like the guys in particular, not all guys, but like some guys are like, I have to be tough, I have to be strong, I have to be the big man. That kind of male dominance aspect of it, and particularly with other males and also females. But, like, we can love another man, and not in a romantic sense or in the sense of like having that love in that regard, but being a loving friend, being a loving team member, being a loving, caring person. Love can be demonstrated through different ways, can't it? And that can be a form of leadership as well.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Certainly. Absolutely. Being willing to openly love you're being a role model. Because men do experience love for other men and have a really hard time expressing that. And they hold that in and bottle it up. And that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, unfortunately, and cost of disconnection and loneliness. And yeah, you'll see it in men, how lonely many men feel and
Yeah.
disconnected from the
yeah.
world. And it turns up with, now I'm not an expert or a psychologist, but you know, why do we have so many mental health issues at the moment? Yeah, we have these expectations and standard on men and women, not just men, but there are expectations on women too, to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is causing issues for sure.
Yeah.
And it is truly to be open with your love and express it and tell people you love them and care about them and want them to win and live their best life. That is leadership right there. That takes something. Yeah. And I mean, what would happen in the world if men could express their love? Yeah. And women didn't have those pressures to be a certain way and could just express themselves openly too.
Yeah.
What a world we would live in.
The human potential. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine. So Einstein was born into this environment where his parents nurtured his mind. I read a story once a week. One of their friends who was a science teacher would come over and talk to Einstein about science and absolutely loved it. What if we could create environments for every human being where whatever they love could be developed and pursued and humans all could reach that potential? What kind of world would we live in? I mean, you know, the schooling system, it works for some and, you know, what is taught is required for our society to function, English and maths and science. But what if we could really nurture the passions of those children from a very young age and nurture where their skills are? Oh man, wouldn't that be just amazing? We'd have a world of Einsteins, not just one, you know, we'd have a world of Gandhis.
Yeah.
How beautiful would that be?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Showing children or letting them be vulnerable. And, you know, I remember plenty of times when I was a child, where crying was seen as a weakness or, just being any kind of vulnerable. It was like, oh, hang on, come compose yourself, you know, and, just letting children be who they are.
Let them express.
Yeah. Let them be fully expressed. It would be amazing. Yeah.
It'd be so amazing.
Yeah.
And there's so much raw power in kids. They are forces of nature. You know, when you see a kid screaming in a shopping center, everybody stops. And then we try and dampen all that energy, you know, and control it and contain it. And we put them in this little box and we give them labels and we tell them what they can't do and when they're allowed to speak and when they're allowed to eat. And we hold all this potential in this tiny little box.
Put them in contain
letting it
them.
out. Definitely. Oh, I'd love to live in that world. Wouldn't that be different?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
It'd be utopia.
That's really great, Haydn. Thanks. I love it. It's amazing. I love the references to Einstein and all these leaders as well. So it's really great hearing that. And what do you think are like the particular tools or techniques that we can use to cultivate a positive, growth-orientated mindset within our team and within ourselves? And what distinctions or tools can we actually use to stop that box being so trapped, like either within a child or a growing man or woman, for example?
Got it. I think there were a few questions in that question.
I'll
do my best to answer them.
Okay.
You can break it down.
Okay, so I'll break it down into parts.
Thanks, Haydn.
Okay, so firstly, yes, as a normal individual, like most people are, born into normal circumstances with regular parents and regular situation, we need to undo how we've ended up being.
Okay.
Undo a lot of the judgments, opinions, perspectives we have about ourselves and the world that are getting in the way of us being an exceptional leader. So undoing. How to do that? Get a coach. Find a coach who knows how to do that work and work with them. They will guide you to find the things that you are holding to be true about yourself, about the world, about others, about life that are getting in the way. Getting in the way from you being your full potential. So that's where I'd start. look to undo the stuff that's getting in the way. Find a professional who can do that with you. The other thing when talking about developing that culture in your team, 100% it's practice what you preach.
Okay.
Your business is a reflection of you. So any challenge, any problem, anything that's not working in your business, you are the source of it. And that's coming from complete responsibility. Now, if you look at Elon Musk, he is fully responsible for everything in Tesla. Yes, he has people with roles and responsibilities that take responsibility for their roles. If something's not working exactly how he likes it, he does something about it. You know, I'm sure he knows every piece that goes into every Tesla that he builds. And the same with his rockets that he's sending up to Mars. You know, like he's fully responsible. And that then filters down through his company, and we get this exceptional level of quality in his products. So take complete responsibility for everything in your business. Now, I will clarify, I don't mean do everything yourself. Don't confuse responsibility with you need to be doing the actions. You can delegate. Okay, so maybe you're responsible for finding the person who will be responsible, and then you hold them accountable to a certain expectation and set of standards and systems. So you're not doing everything yourself, you're being responsible for everything in the business. And when that's seen from the people in the company, they too will follow suit. Yeah, they will follow. And they will be responsible, fully responsible. You'll breed a culture of responsibility. You won't have those employees go, it's not my job. Someone else will get to it. Yeah. So the business is a reflection of you. And if you see anything out there, have a look in here at what's causing that.
I love the bit about taking responsibility and like the buck starts with you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the quote, but like it really is like
starts and finishes.
Yeah, it starts and finishes with you. And like when something breaks down within the company, like, okay, look at your employees, look at your people that you work with, look at your partner. But first and foremost, what can you do to make a difference in the company, and what can you take responsibility for? And I guess like when you take responsibility, people will see you leading by example in that way, and then they'll take responsibility and so on and so on. Like you said, it just becomes like a really nice culture to work in because everyone is just being responsible for everything they do, right? Yeah.
When the owner turns up and says, I caused this. You know, this lack of sales, I caused this. I wasn't being accountable. I wasn't being supportive. I didn't create a system that would work for you. I didn't create a training program that would have you win within the system I created. It gives everyone the space to relax. I go, oh, okay, great. No one's getting defensive, argumentative. There's no fighting. It removes all that. And people go, you know what? Well, this is what I didn't do. And this is how I could have been better. You know, and they start to be responsible. And it works. When the owner comes in and goes, you did this and you did that, the people go, no, I didn't do this. You did this and you do that. And it's just mirrored.
It
so
just
if there's ever a problem out there, eye for an eye, 100%.
And
complete
it's like
responsibility for everything and everyone.
Beautiful, love it. And I was just going to add to it, it's just like watching a ping pong match and just getting the ball back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And and if you just caught the ping pong and just took it for yourself and you actually said, I was the cause of this, then it creates that vulnerability for everyone else to be vulnerable and open up about like the crap that happened as well.
I mean, I'm not naming any names, but I've certainly, worked in corporate settings, or when I was working for someone else, I have definitely seen that and seen the what not to do leadership styles, I think.
They're out there.
It's
unfortunate. It's unfortunate. They're totally out there.
And
you were going to say?
Sorry.
There you go.
Well, I think certainly that gave me a sense of, well, I'm not taking responsibility. This is my manager's fault, or it's their manager's fault. They're not doing something about it. I wasn't looking at myself and how I was being, and that was just the culture. And
it's also a reflection not just of your work, but also your life, and like being a father and being a sister or being a brother. Like it's not necessarily like the brother's fault, the sister's fault, the kid's fault.
Yeah.
It's like you said again, like how are you being about it? And like we know you through our personal development courses, and it's really important to get that coaching and get that way of thinking, and maybe identify that blind spot that someone else can see that you don't necessarily see yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really important, like you said, to get that coaching. I was just gonna wrap it up because we've it's going a bit longer than we expected. But like, if you could give one final piece of advice to leaders interested in incorporating more love and connection to their leadership style, what would it be?
Oof, one piece of advice to leaders looking to incorporate love. I'd say do whatever it takes to get your family in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It all begins in the home. When you have your homework and you're in love and you're in communication and you're forgiving and you're connected, you'll have everything else in your life work. You'll have the security and the space that whatever's going on out in the world, you've got something to go back to. You've got a sanctuary. Yeah. So I'd say start with your home. When you can do it with your family, with the people closest to you that you love, you can do it with anyone.
I love it.
Begin in your home. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's very moving.
I think it's something that doesn't get taught enough or doesn't get elaborated enough. And I feel like, we live in this holistic world where our family and our work and our passions and our downtime is all interconnected. And it is, when one string pulls on that part, then the other part gets
one
affected.
is impacted,
And it's important, like you have an argument with your wife or your girlfriend, and then you meet another woman that is similar nature at work, and then you'll have that same argument with her, but not because of what she's saying, but because you have like relayed memories from that argument you had at home with your wife, for example, right? And it all gets like transferred across without you subconsciously knowing. Yep. And that's why it's important, I guess, to, like you said, start with home.
Yeah. That's really great.
And I'm Jordan Peterson says it too. He says, clean your room. That's another way to put it. Clean your room. Begins in the home. Begins with the people closest to you. And it begins with the person in the mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You got to deal with that person as well,
To quote Michael Jackson. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
Maybe you got to call it.
It's one of his best songs.
The man in the mirror.
I need to do some singing.
To change his ways. There you go.
Love it.
We did it.
There you go. What a way to end it.
Love it.
Well, wait. Well, then in part 2, you'll see Haydn sing even more.
Yes.
So we look forward to that.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad he's not alive to hear that. That's the worst impersonation of Michael Jackson.
You did well.
You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, thank you so
thanks,
much,
guys.
Haydn. That has been really inspiring, very insightful. And I think, our viewers, our listeners are going to take a lot from this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Haydn. Really appreciate it. And for anyone who wants to find out more about Haydn and the work he does, especially with his entrepreneurial coaching, feel free to look at the links below of this episode, and you can go and check out how awesome Haydn is and the amazing work he does. So feel free to give him a look. And just want to say thanks, Haydn, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's really been great getting to know you in the last couple of week or two. And thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. That was awesome. A lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. And see you on the next video. Have a great day and speak soon.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give us a big thumbs up and leave us a comment, good or bad. And if you really want to, make sure you hit subscribe. Check out our next video here.